Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we are reviewing Friday Night SmackDown. Typically, we do Monday Night Raw, but we missed this past week. I actually filmed the episode and just never got around to editing it, and now it's Friday. So I figured, why not do SmackDown, refreshing change of pace. So if you're excited about that, smash the like button as hard as you possibly can. If you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. You'll never miss an upload ever again. Also, I just put out a music video for my song Drunk TXT. The link will be in the description. It's on the channel. Check it out. If you like the song, I just put out an album. It's called DaVinci, and it is on all streaming platforms, and I'll put the link for that in the description as well. And if you do like it, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I truly appreciate it. Now, let's get into the review. Two things before we get into the actual show itself. One, I don't like watching SmackDown in comparison to Raw because I don't like the audio cuts. The crowd is very vocal tonight, especially in the segment that I'm sure everyone is here to talk about. And I don't like that it cuts out. It just throws me off while I'm trying to watch the show. I don't experience that on Netflix, so just wanted to point that out as a small nitpick. Also, Cody Rhodes tonight was pulled from his match in the main event so he could participate in a segment with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the final boss who returned to SmackDown tonight in New Orleans, Louisiana. My question is, why couldn't Cody wrestle and be in that segment? We'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the segment, but Cody had his segment, and the match he was supposed to be in happened afterwards. And it's not like if Cody had a match before The Rock came out, he couldn't have come out afterwards. It was just very confusing why Nick Aldis, at the very top of the show, pulled Cody Rhodes from the match, and he said there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's coming from the final boss. Why did The Rock think that Cody Rhodes couldn't wrestle and have a segment with him in the ring? I digress. So the show starts off with Drew McIntyre versus Jimmy Uso. Now, I've said it on this channel when reviewing Raw. This is the first SmackDown episode, so I'll say it here. I want to give Jimmy Uso his flowers. I love Jimmy Uso way more than Jey Uso. I think he's more natural on the mic. I think that he looks better in the ring. I know they get criticized for their limited move set, but one can still be better than the other just because they look the same. I think Jimmy Uso is just a little bit more talented. He's just not as popular with the audience. That's fine. I think Jimmy Uso is also due for a singles run. I would like to see Jimmy Uso with the US title. But he fought Drew McIntyre tonight. It was a decent match. It was probably my favorite match on the whole card, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not gonna go crazy into the match itself, but I'll talk about the end. Jimmy Uso picked up the win with a victory roll, and that did not sit well with the Scottish psychopath, as after that, Jimmy rolls out of the ring, Drew McIntyre follows him to attack him. They were fighting outside, and Drew McIntyre had propped up Jimmy Uso so he could kick his head into the ring post. WWE officials came, separated them. Jimmy got away from that. They almost had Drew McIntyre into the back. He breaks away, gets into the ring, and hits Jimmy Uso with a Claymore. He gets on top of Jimmy and says, "You're nothing to me, you don't matter." Drew McIntyre honestly has, despite his rivalry with CM Punk, has been one of the best performers in the last 2 to 3 years in the WWE. And since going heel and really embracing the psychopath character, I think he's really become one of the WWE superstars who they can rely on for their stories and for great matches. So I want to give Drew McIntyre his flowers too. Next, we see backstage, Solo Sikoa arrives with Tonga Loa and Jacob Fatu. You can see there's tension between Jacob and Solo. I would love to point out that Solo was the one that said losing has consequences, and we haven't really seen any consequences for Solo losing the Ula Fala. to Roman Reigns. You can tell Jacob's pissed about it, but maybe that'll get resolved, and we'll talk about that later on when we talk about the main event. Jacob Fatu puts his foot down and he says, "You're teaming with me tonight. Me and Tonga have been running SmackDown the past few weeks while you've been gone, so I'm calling the shots." Solo just was like, "That's why I love you, Jacob." And for so long, it was, "I love you, Solo." Now Solo's saying, "I love you." Maybe he's just trying to kiss ass and get ahead because he knows that he's due for a beating from the bloodline. We'll see. Next, we have a backstage segment. I'm just gonna kind of pass by this because it was really nothing to me and it failed to keep my attention. Shout out to Carmelo Hayes. I think he deserves more than what he's getting right now. This match, it wasn't harmful. It served its purpose. LA Knight and R-Truth versus The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. This match basically happened so LA Knight could get to the ring and Shinsuke Nakamura could attack him again. And that's what happened. Shinsuke Nakamura attacks LA Knight and The Miz and Carmelo hit their finishers. Cost LA Knight and Truth the match. Again, like I said, nothing harmful, just really didn't keep my attention. So I'm not saying don't go watch the match. I'm just saying it may not be worth it for me to go back and watch it a second time. Now, up next, we had one of the worst promos I've ever seen. I would like to point out, I am a huge fan of Tiffany Stratton. I am also a huge fan of Nia Jax, despite her controversy of being maybe dangerous in the ring. Outside of that, which I don't want her to be dangerous, I hope that she stops injuring people, and I don't think she's the type of person that does it on purpose. I just like Nia Jax's character. I don't think she's the best. I just like it. And ever since she started linking up with Nia Jax, I've liked Candice LeRae. I didn't like Candice LeRae with the butterfly wings and all that. I'm gonna be completely transparent. But since she started linking up with Nia Jax, Candice LeRae has grown on me. I like all three of these women. I don't have anything against them. This was one of the worst promos I have ever seen. I cringed the entire time. Tiffany starts in the ring and she's addressing Charlotte. She said, "You stood over me, you took a chair, you sat down, you looked down on me, and you said we're going to WrestleMania," which, is a dream of mine. She then proceeded to cut a promo, and I think it's just the Valley Girl voice that she has. Can't help that, Nothing that she can really control, I guess. It's just that's how she talks. But she doesn't come off very threatening. I want to take Tiffany Stratton seriously. She's the champion and she deserves to be treated seriously. So I don't mean this as disrespect, but her promo just, as a casual fan, right? As a casual fan, I was sitting there watching yo, this is tough to listen to, right? But I don't even think she was the worst part of the segment, because Nia and Candice come out, and Nia, as much as I like her character, is not great on the mic. So she, did her little retort, and she has the condescending tone. She sounds more convincing in her threats, but at that point, it was just her delivery, following Tiffany was, Nia was probably the best out of all three. With that being said, I don't want to dig in to her too much. She was fine, right? And then Candice comes in and she does a Valley Girl voice. It was just not convincing. Tiffany would say "Nia, this isn't your title anymore." Okay. Ooh, you got her. I don't know. I just, It was tough to listen to. The match wasn't much better either. I don't want to, come off as a dick, right? Like I preface this by saying I'm a fan of all three of them, but this was not a good match. And I think, here's my theory, I have no proof, right? I think that because of the promo and because there were a couple of moves that were like iffy on Tiffany Stratton's part, like she had that moonsault, I don't know if she was out at ringside yet, but Tiffany had that moonsault where like she did the whole rotation, but no one was there to catch her, so she like landed on her feet and everyone just fell. And then there was another move in the ring I can't remember right now that was like, oh, that was awkward. But Charlotte comes out, and I don't know if she was planning to come out the whole time or if Triple H was like, hey yo, Charlotte, like, we need you to come save this. Give this segment a reason for why we didn't cut this instead of something else. Because for all intents and purposes, this segment did nothing for anybody but Charlotte. Like, Charlotte came out looking like the queen. You know, she sat on commentary. Wade Barrett kissed her ass the whole rest of the match while Tiffany is, you know, trying her best. You know, Charlotte, you know, is doing what she's supposed to do. She's berating Tiffany, but like, from beginning to end, nothing looked good for Tiffany, and she's like the women's champion. Like, Charlotte has the aura of champion even without the belt. But even with the belt, that was tough for Tiffany. The beginning promo was the match was with a couple botches. Then Charlotte comes out, she berates her on the mic. Tiffany gets the win. Tiffany got the win, but then afterwards, because this is what happened, outside the ring, Tiffany hit Candice with an Alabama slam and, you know, got into it with Nia, and then points at Charlotte in the WrestleMania sign. Then she gets the win, so the Nia comes back to, you know, attack Tiffany. Trish Stratus comes to make the save. Forgot to mention, it's gonna be Nia and Candice versus Tiffy and Trish at Elimination Chamber. You know, you gotta get Trish in Toronto because that's where the Elimination Chamber is, if you didn't know. Trish comes to the rescue. She's her partner for that match. Nia Jax, she hit the worst annihilator I have ever seen. Again, I want to give credit where credit is due, but like, she stacked Trish and Tiffany in the corner on top of each other and went to drop on her. And I don't know if it's because like she was worried she was gonna like pop one of Trish's boobs, but she just lands on her feet and sits on her. And I was like, why did you have to go to the second rope to do that? And after all of that, Charlotte comes into the ring and points at the WrestleMania sign. It was a bad night for Tiffany. But yeah, let's move on. Please, let's move on. There's a meaningless, and when I say meaningless, a meaningless backstage promo between Priest and Cody Rhodes, where it's like, hey, congratulations on winning the Elimination Chamber. And hey, I'm gonna win it. And when I do, I'm gonna face you. And Cody goes, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, he wants Priest. Like, he's been rooting for Davey to Priest this whole time. And then Braun Strowman comes in and he goes, I want to say congratulations. But you know, I had Jacob beat dead to rights. Then he goes, whoa, you're starting to sound like Drew McIntyre with all your complaining. He goes, like, I'm just saying, like, kind of set you up. Damon Priest's like, hey, listen, man. I'm gonna teed tonight. Like, it was just, like, watching SmackDown is weird compared to Raw. So it was supposed to be Liv Morgan versus Naomi. But because the final boss has to show up tonight, that match got canceled. So what they decided to do was have Naomi, who was convinced that, you know, it was Liv and Raquel that took out Jade Cargill. Like, you seem really convinced, but I love how they pointed out, like, yeah, Jade's recovering, so that's why she didn't text us, because she probably could just text us and tell us who fucking did it. It's hard doing some of those 90s themed, like, whodunit storylines, because in the 90s, you didn't have a smartphone. Who hit Stone Cold Steve Austin? Well, he's at home, and, you know, we're all busy. We're not gonna stop and call Stone Cold at his house. Like, we don't have his house number, like, you know what I mean? In 2025, where literally you could watch the segment that just happened on Twitter 5 minutes after it happened. Tell me who hit you. Liv and Raquel attacked Naomi and Bianca Belair from behind because it was supposed to be Liv versus Naomi one-on-one. And so that match got canceled. So we could have... I would like to talk about this for a moment because, one, why was The Rock talking like a cryptic Wizard of Oz? Corporate Rock announces WrestleMania next year is going to be in New Orleans, and then goes on to engage with the crowd. I think at a certain point he forgot he was supposed to be heel, and he starts like going in on the crowd, and then you almost could hear him go like, oh yeah, screw you guys. So The Rock, after he announces WrestleMania and engages with the crowd, says he wants to talk to Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes comes out and he starts almost like, he cuts one of the weirdest promos ever. Just say what you want, Rock. The Rock wants Cody Rhodes to be under his thumb, right? It's the traditional, look, you see how much power and success and fame and money I have. I could help you tap into that if you do some things for me. He doesn't want them to answer now. He wants them to wait until Elimination Chamber. Before we talk about that, let's talk about how The Rock worded that request. He points at Cody Rhodes after about 10 minutes of cryptic riddles and nonsensical language. Basically says, I want that. He's pointing at Cody Rhodes and he's like, you said all this because you want to be the WWE champion? No, stupid. I want your soul. Interesting request from The Rock. I just want to go on a little bit of a tirade sidebar about The Rock. Last year, The Rock came back, no pun intended. He tried to insert himself into the main event of WrestleMania, and I think the reason why people were upset gets overlooked. For so long, WWE fans had to endure rewriting the show and tearing up scripts minutes before the show would go on the air. Storylines would be abandoned abruptly. New superstars that fans liked would be purposely buried in favor of people that Vince McMahon chose, whether they were successful or not. WWE relied heavily on nostalgia in order to drive sales and boost ratings. During that period, The Rock was gone. He was one of the people that Vince McMahon would rely on for nostalgia every so often on a celebration show or whatever. We're gonna bring The Rock out, he'll boost the ratings. Vince McMahon would be like, here's some money, come on our show. It's an easy check for The Rock. Now that The Rock is in charge, he came in to a story that had been building for 3 years, right? Cody came back, he fought Seth Rollins, he had the trilogy with him, wrestled Hell in a Cell with a torn pec. Fans were invested in Cody Rhodes. When he came back from injury and won the Royal Rumble, everyone thought this is the perfect time, the perfect moment for Cody to dethrone Roman Reigns. WWE decided, we want Roman Reigns to break 1,000 days as champion. Fans are disappointed because we invested all this time in Cody Rhodes, but the story's not over. There's still other ways that Cody can win the championship. Win Money in the Bank, win King of the Ring. He can win the Royal Rumble next year, which is what happened. Fast forward a whole year, and Cody Rhodes is on pace to win again until enter The Rock. The Rock shows up and wants to have a match at WrestleMania 39 against Roman Reigns. This was a match that was proposed 2-3 years ago, so he wants to have that match now because his schedule is available. Of course, he's going to show back up right at WrestleMania time to have that moment. He picked a bad time because the fans had been patiently waiting for this story to pay off. It was the first major payoff since Triple H took over. This was an opportunity to pull the trigger and give the fans something that they've been waiting for so long, while also reviving long-term storytelling in the WWE. And The Rock almost ruined that for his ego, because there's no reason that Rock vs. Roman Reigns can't happen at SummerSlam. That would sell tickets. That would guarantee make SummerSlam one of the biggest shows of the year. But would Rock want to return and have that match at SummerSlam or WrestleMania? People want to say, oh my God, you were robbed of Roman Reigns versus The Rock. One, I don't think that match is everything that everybody thinks it's going to be anyway. And two, Roman Reigns was good regardless. Whether he's facing The Rock or Cody, he's going to the main event of WrestleMania. Roman was good. The only person that it really affected was The Rock. But why do we care about The Rock's ego? He just came back. I think there was a little bit of lacking of self-awareness on The Rock's part. I think he thought he was so popular that everyone was just going to accept it. I don't think Rock was as tapped in with the product as he would like everyone to think he is. If he would have known this was not the time to come return, and everything plays out the way it does. You fast forward all the way to now. Matches are getting cut, things are getting rearranged. Also, The Rock could have this weird promo where he just wants Cody Rhodes to be his lackey pretty much. Forget the story for a second. The Rock's ego is so big that he couldn't have done a quick 5-minute segment. Every time The Rock comes out, it has to be a spectacle. There has to be an announcement with fireworks and the whole 9 yards. He pulled Cody out of the main event. People who paid money to come see Cody wrestle are now not going to see him wrestle because The Rock wants to talk to him. Liv Morgan and Naomi don't get their match because The Rock wants to talk to Cody. I get it, he's supposed to be heel, but come on. Can we just admit that The Rock has a very large and fragile ego? And it's okay, he's still one of my favorites, but let's call a spade a spade. People love to call Triple H out and say that he loves to be the center of attention. Who loves to be in the center of attention more than Dwayne The Rock Johnson? And I think I've already made my case. I just really think it's hypocritical of people to constantly berate Triple H for wanting to be in the ring to start off the show or have his credits at the end, but WWE literally has to put a parade every time The Rock shows up. He showed up to have a promo on SmackDown, and we needed an announcement and a parade and fireworks for that. And people needed to get their matches canceled, and people needed to be pulled out of matches, and matches needed to be rearranged. Also, The Rock could have his moment. DIY versus Pretty Deadly for the tag team titles was an okay match. It was nothing crazy. The Street Profits interfered. The Motor City Machine Guns tried to get a save, and they got taken out too. WWE is really trying to boost the Street Profits as these dominant heels, and I'm for it. I'm afraid that the window to capitalize on the Street Profits' popularity has passed. I'm even more afraid that like the window of opportunity to have a singles run for Montez Ford has passed. Hopefully this all works out for them, and I'm looking forward to see what kind of match this is all gonna lead to. Kevin Owens was outside of Sami Zayn's house cutting a promo. I'm over this kind of promo. Like, it was cool when Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin did the home invasion angle, right? It was shock value, it was cutting edge, it was the first time we had ever seen anything like that in WWE. 15 years later, when it's revisited by Triple H and Randy Orton for their promo because it had been getting heated, fine. But then like since then, WWE has done like a whole bunch of like, I'm gonna show up at your house, and like you even see it on AEW, like Swerve and Hangman. The thing for me is like, how does Sami Zayn not see the WWE production crew outside of his house? It's not like this was Kevin Owens cutting a promo selfie style on his cell phone. But then also, like, if you're that tapped, right, that you did all that stuff to Sami Zayn in the middle of the ring, why would you drive all the way to his house? Because clearly you know where he lives. He's your friend, or was your friend. Why would you drive all the way to his house to do a video promo outside of it and stalk him creepily? Like, ooh, look at me, I'm watching you through the window. But I'm also just gonna then talk into this camera that I brought, and this crew that I brought to hold it, and I'm not gonna like break into your house and try to kill you in front of your family. I'm just gonna tell you that like I'm gonna hurt you in front of your family next week. Next week I'm gonna hurt you in front of your family. But today I'm just gonna sit here and watch. Comment below and let me know how you feel about those kind of promos. Lastly, we have our main event, Braun Strowman and Damian Priest versus Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. At this point, I was pretty exhausted, and I started to have the debate on whether 3 hours is really good or if 2.5 hours is perfect, because I feel like at the end of Monday Night Raw, I could watch another half hour of wrestling. Today, it got to 2.5 hours. I was like, oh damn, we got 30 more minutes. The only thing I thought that was worth noting in this match was the end where Jacob Fatu accidentally, we'll see if it was an accident or not, kicks Solo Sikoa in the face, and then Braun Strowman takes Jacob Fatu outside the ring, and you know, Damian Priest then gets the win with the Cell to Heaven. And that was cool. Like, I mean, nothing harmful. They did a good job of promoting both chamber matches next week. I think that SmackDown was a lot tougher for me to get through. I don't know if it was because it was the extra half hour. We had no problem watching Raw on Netflix. The first episode was 3 hours. Commercial breaks are very limited, so it was a lot more WWE content. I don't know if that has to do with the talent. Like, maybe Raw just has a better roster. I don't know. So as we do on the Raw reviews, we give our 3 superstars that are our top performers of the night. At number 3, I have Damian Priest. I think that he is in a weird like purgatory period because he's just wrapped up his whole, you know, blood feud with the Judgment Day. Then he got shifted over to SmackDown. He doesn't have like a big rivalry to display his talent, but he's been putting quality matches, and the only time where I'm like, ooh, maybe not Priest is when he's going toe to toe with Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is just a dog. Number 3, Damian Priest. Number 2, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is, like I said earlier, one of the most exciting people to catch on WWE television these days. He's having great matches. He's doing great work on the mic. And, you know, last year his rivalry with CM Punk was one of the best, if not the best rivalry in the last 5 years. So Drew McIntyre tonight, for what he did to Jimmy Uso, you earned the number 2 spot. And number 1, we got Jacob Fatu. he's too real. There is no, like, he has to convince me that he is who he is. Like, I believe Jacob Fatu. Since day one, I have been a fan of Jacob Fatu. And he continues to show me why with performances like his backstage promo and his work in the ring. Jacob Fatu, the #1 performer for me this week on SmackDown. But it's not about what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed my opinions, if you enjoyed my rants and my tirades, let me know what you think in the comments. If you disagree, let me know what you disagree with in the comments below. And also, if you haven't yet, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'll be back with a Monday Night Raw review on Netflix. I promise I will stay on top of it, but until then, I'm your boy DoxDaVinci, and I'll catch you in the next one.